Hello everybody, how you doing today? Now, I know what you're wondering. Jaeger, why is it taking you 2 weeks to make another video? You were on a roll making them every couple of days. Well, I was trying to make a pretty cool video, a pretty funny one as a matter of fact, but I lost all of the progress on it when Share Factory decided to crash. So I just decided to scrap that video. It took like 10 days as of the point where it was about to be done, and yeah, I mean, it happens, but definitely frustrating, but it's okay. We'll go ahead and just pick back up doing what we were doing, and today we're just going to talk about something that I think all of us have at least at one point or another talked about. The 4-player worlds that we have in the overworld in Elden Ring, and how we wish that they would at the very least go back to 6-player worlds. So the thing is that there are a lot of people, me included, who think that this would do almost nothing but positive changes for the game. However, I thought what would be interesting is, what if we played devil's advocate and went ahead and tried to find the things that could go wrong if they were to add this feature? Because we can think about the fight clubs, we can think about the big open battles of 6 players, but Elden Ring is not the same game as Dark Souls 3 or Dark Souls Remastered, which all had 6-player worlds. It would have its own host of problems, and considering this game's glitchy and buggy past, that could be quite a bit more and quite a bit worse than it has been in the past. But that being said, let's go ahead and talk about some of the things that could potentially hold back Elden Ring if it were to be 6-player. Now, while there is seamless co-op, which proves that you can stuff a bunch of players into the same world, I'm not convinced that as little as 2 additional characters would be all that easy for FromSoft to incorporate without lag problems and glitches. Somehow I just have a feeling that this might be something that we would be dealing with. I don't know for a slight chance of understanding like what type of glitch this could introduce, but I bet you that there is something out there involving the Taunter Tongue that will glitch out when there's 6 players, and it would just be a matter of time before people found it. However, this is the weakest of my points. It's just a hypothetical that you could technically just say that about like any time that there is going to be a change in the game. Yeah, I understand how weak this point is, but we'll go ahead and move on to things that are a little bit more substantial. So the rumor that I've heard is that the reason that 4-player worlds are what they are is because this game was going to come out on Xbox One and PS4, and they did not have a way of making those older consoles run smoothly with 6 players. Now, assuming that's true, then yes, that would be a problem if they were to try and introduce 6-player worlds. They would have to find a workaround of some sort, whether that be an area in the DLC that is specifically 6-player, right? Say they were to convert just legacy dungeons into 6-player areas. I experience less lag problems in, say, Lindell, Haligtree, Stormvale than I do other areas in the game. So maybe they could turn legacy areas into 6-player fighting grounds. However, that does mean that in comparison, open world invasions just get worse, and open world invasions, despite the spectacle being cool, stylistically and balance-wise are just awful. So I think that that would make those a little bit worse, but I think that there at least should be some way for us to get to 6-player worlds. Now, the other thing as well is that they could make an updated version of the game similar to how Dark Souls 2 had Scholar of the First Sin, and that could be exclusive to the newer gen consoles, and that would have 6-player worlds. While yes, that would fragment the community more, which would be unfortunate, there really is no good reason as to why the older gen consoles should hold back the potential of this game's PvP. While it is potentially unfortunate that that's the type of shattering of the community that would be needed for 6-player worlds, it's one of the only options I can think of if that actually truly is such a limiting factor. A big thing I could definitely see being a problem is a lot of these Ashes of War that stun lock you for a long amount of time. So things such as Stormhawk Axe, the Hand of Melania, things of the sort that once you get hit, you are getting hit 3 or more times. Because if you are fighting 4 people, and the implication is that if there's going to be 6 players, that there can either be a team of 4 and 2 or a team of 3 and 3, right? Well, the thing is that the majority of the time it is going to end up being a 4v2. So in that situation, the enemy team not being able to hit each other with the Hand of Melania, for example, well, that means that all of the other crazy things would become even more exacerbated. And this is kind of going to be the point for a lot of the things I bring up. So imagine having to fight a 4th player when, say, 1 or 2 of them is using something on the lines of Millicent's, Hand of Melania, or Stormhawk Axe, something of the similar, that you are stun locked for a while, and then say one of those people is a mage, one of those people is a dragon caster, one of those people is running a glass cannon, and with you being stunned like that, they are able to get their hit off. Well, essentially, you can think of any ridiculous, dumb combo, and just by adding 1 extra player, you can either make the combo worse, or you can have one person that is running a more balanced build that is able to do the majority of the actual fighting. Whenever you go to attack a person, they're the one that is on your ass, attacking you over and over. You get what I'm saying? So it allows for just 1 extra person that is either running something really stupid or protecting the people that are doing something really stupid. The thing that scares me the most about the home team having 4 players is mages, because just having a single mage on the enemy team, if you are running especially a melee character and you're in the open world section, like you're not in a legacy dungeon or anything like that, is a mage, because they can spam to Kingdom Come. There's nothing you can do about it other than get lucky or wait out all of their blue. And I will eventually make a video talking about why I hate the balance of mages in this game. And a big part of that is that they have so much high damage, spammable stuff that you have to give a lot of attention to, that it makes it to where you kind of have to play extremely passively or you will get completely murked. Well, that would only get worse if there was another slot for another mage, or if there was another person protecting the mage, right? So say a blue comes into the world and now it's a 4v2. This blue doesn't have to be particularly good, but if he's using something that a lot of people use, say cross Naginatas or something like that, well, that mage that is in the world, or the 2 mages, you can't really go and attack them at all. Like, you have to run away and either run them out of all their blue, or you have to hope that one of them will continue running at you and the others will not. That way you can try and set up a duel situation and try to kill them like that. Now, granted, I understand that this is how it already is, but imagine trying to deal with 1 extra person added to that formula. The other thing that scares me a ton about 4-player worlds is the possibility of having a bunch of dragon casters in the world. Dragon casting is, in my opinion, one of the most poorly designed things in this entire game. Like, you have these moves that do all of the work for you. They make a cone shape, they have tracking, they have good distance, and they do good damage if the build is specified for them. And if it's on the home team, they cannot hit their teammates. Their teammates can attack you while you're getting hit by the rot breath or whatever breath it might be. It's really, really poorly designed, in my opinion. And the thing is, too, is that you can run dragon casters as an invader and sneak attack somebody with like a cannon build, right? Like, in my personal opinion, my opinion is shining through right here. I fucking hate dragon casters as like a concept, how they are right now. Now, just adding an extra one to that equation, I cannot imagine the amount of fury added to that equation, right? So with 4 people, there's a higher chance that you're going to be fighting 2 players of a similar build, right? and it is reasonable to say that there's a good chance that you will fight 2 people using a Zyke's Decay or Rot Breath or something like that. Because oftentimes, more so than an actual dedicated dragon build, what you come across is an arcane build or a faith build that's using a Zyke's Decay. You come across that, I'd say, a little bit more than just an actual dragon build. And it's like, they don't even have to do that good of damage. The range at which they are able to stun lock you, right, they can be very far away from you and still stun lock you because of how far away they are. So the probability of fighting 2 people running the same build and then whatever the other 2 players might be running, well, I mean, that certainly would make this a problem that already exists. It'd make it worse. Another thing to consider is the different fortifications that are able to be passed on to teammates and the HP regeneration teammate-wide affecting ones. Now, I know these got nerfed recently, but the thing is that even still, making it to where that number in PvP goes from, say, 60% across all teammates to 80%, like, that is a non-zero amount of damage less that you're going to be doing to your opponents. If it's HP regeneration, as far as I'm aware, that has never been nerfed, so that is extremely dangerous. Say they have the highest form, I think it's Erdtree's Blessing that has the most amount of HP regeneration. Just one guy that's able to spam that over and over. Let's make it even better. Someone that's able to spam heals. Like, yeah, what you're going to be dealing with is a whole lot more HP that you have to cut through and a whole lot more defenses that you have to cut through as well. So something terrifying that just came to mind as I was thinking about all these is maybe the worst one out of all of them, actually, and that is if the Taunter's Tongue goes unchanged, getting 4 people on the host team, 1 invader, and then them turning the Taunter's Tongue off. The Taunter's Tongue itself already needs a complete rework, but if it were to stay in the situation, the state that it is right now, then we quite literally could see a situation where, like, it'll kill off a lot of, like, say, PvP streamers, right? Not even just mentioning doing it to random people, but if it were to stay that way and become worse with 4 people, streamers very likely will just, like, drop the game or just invade offline. Because imagine people trying to stream snipe a invader that streams that is fairly watched, right? Someone say like G9, Stilovsky, any name that you can think of, just a couple big ones as an example. And then you just set up 4 people on Radon's Beach, Beach, and then you turn the fucking Taunter's Tongue off. That is so stupid. That would be a horrible, horrible oversight if they allowed for that to happen. But the thing is considering they haven't changed the Taunter's Tongue already, there is a world where, yes, those 2 things would merge together. The same Taunter's Tongue and 6-player worlds, and that would be terrible. Now, to be frank, this is all, like, speculation on some of the worst that you could come across if they were to ever add 6-player worlds. Obviously, like I said at the beginning of the video, I would much prefer that it be in the game than not. So what I would rather see happen is that these issues get addressed. When it comes to the different build archetypes, I think that there are some pretty reasonable changes they could make that would allow for some of these worries I have, say, about high damage weapons that stun lock you for a long time, dragon casters, mages. I think a lot of this can be partially remedied by not having full-on home team damage like friendly fire, but having stun lock or stun on the teammates. So they can't just simply rush at you and somebody in the back Dragon Breath, because that'll stun his teammates too. It doesn't need to do damage. Now, I know that they would probably never do this because they never have before, but it would be a way of essentially taking away a lot of, like, the minute balancing you'd have to do to these problematic archetypes of builds, by just making it to where they're not quite as brain dead, that you have to use them in a 1v1 scenario, or you have to have intelligent spacing, things of the sort, right? I've proposed this change many, many times, but the Taunter's Tongue does need an absolute rework. What I have proposed since, like, maybe half a year ago is that the Taunter's Tongue is turned on at the site of grace, and while this Taunter Tongue is on, you cannot get on Torrent. Now granted, I know that that would be quite inconvenient for someone that is, say, running solo that has the Taunter's Tongue on, because then you wouldn't be able to run around with Torrent. Say, you know, your own honest gamer, right? But the thing is that if it were just left the way it is, the levels of dishonesty, I mean, we've seen them before. They are so high, and it would only go higher from there, right? So I think making it to where you have to actually commit to using the Taunter's Tongue would be a huge deal. Like, both turning it on and turning it off, being at the site of grace, especially. Now, I was in a stream with Frosty. I was in one of Frosty's streams in the last month, and he said that the system that is supposed to allow you to roll out faster when you are hit too many times without the ability to roll out does exist in Elden Ring. However, it really doesn't feel like it. I can think of plenty of times that I get hit by like a 4-piece combo between like 2 or 3 players that I know I was pressing the roll button over and over, and I could not get out. So I feel like if they were to... I think the game already needs this, but especially if they were to add an extra player to the home base, that whatever numbers they have should be a little bit more lenient once you have gotten hit 3 times without being able to roll out, especially. But yeah, with that being said, hopefully you guys have enjoyed the thoughts and whatnot that I have presented in this video, whether you agree with them or not. If you have your own ideas and whatnot, leave them in the comment section. I think it would be interesting to hear differing opinions. And yeah, let's make sure that if this is something that could potentially be added with the DLC, that it's not as potentially egregious as it could be. But with that being said, I'll let this clip here finish up, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace out. Well, what? Oh, he killed his teammate! He's retarded. This is the... Good shit. We played our fucking hearts out. Holy shit. Oh my god.